Pitfall number 5 is those text-heavy slides. You've seen them. You know, you don't know where to look, you can't follow, you don't know if you should listen to the speaker, you should read the slides. So once you have your content and your structure in place, that's when you step back and you say, well, where do I add a slide that's going to reinforce an idea? Now, there's all kinds of slides. They can be bullets or they can be pictures, they can be graphs and charts. But the goal really of a visual is to make it visual and to make it easy to read so it reinforces your key ideas. Let me just give you a couple key ideas or some guidelines around use and creating of slides. The very first one is to have a title or a headline, something that immediately lets anyone that's looking at this or walks in late, they know what that's about, so there's some clarity around it. Not huge paragraphs, just something that's a few words that lets that audience know what this is going to be about. Also making sure that you are using the graphic elements wherever possible. I'm not saying don't use words or numbers, but I am suggesting if you can depict it in a visual manner, it's going to be much more effective for that audience. If you are using words, avoid the paragraphs. You've all seen them. It's like, well, I have to read these long sentences. Instead, go back and say, what's the real point here? And use bullets, just with a few words in it, so it's easy, and then your job is to explain the rest. If you are using bullets, limit them. I would say 6 is as much, and usually I like to do 3 bullets with a couple words in each, and then building to more. So that way you hold the attention of the audience, because if you put too much at one time, they're reading them, they're not listening to you. When it comes to fonts, it's so easy to make things fancy these days, but that's not the point. Limit your fonts to 2 sizes, and believe me, lowercase or sentence case letters are a whole lot easier to read than all caps. How big should they be? You have sat in an audience, I know you have, and seen these slides and the speaker's talking about it, and you say, I can't read them, I know, I can't read them. And then the speaker says, if you can't read them, sorry if you can't read them. I was thinking, if you can't read them and you have to apologize, don't use them. So what's the smallest? 18 is the smallest font size in a conference room, in a larger room, and I think you're much safer at 24 points. That should be the smallest. Of course, you always need to proofread, but I think having someone else proof it as well will matter. And spell check, but spell check doesn't always work. You know, words have different spellings. So have another set of eyes on your visuals. If you are using graphics, what you want to do is avoid the clutter and then just build things for complexity, making sure that the background is simple and you're using contrasting colors, ones that are not so evident when people are colorblind, like red and green next to each other. People can't see them. So overall, remember, visuals are there to reinforce an idea. They are not supposed to be your speaker notes. Spend the time, learn your information. And they shouldn't confuse the audience. In many audiences and many companies, they expect that the slides are given out afterwards or in advance. And if they need the detail in those slides, great, give it to them. And then go back and simplify them for your use during the actual presentation. Overall, what do you want to do? Keep it simple and avoid complex slides.